So where does depression exist? Where does depression seem to exist? Well, I think we try to figure that out and we look for it out there, but depression is not out there. And we look within ourselves. Depression is not in us. Depression is not who we are, though some of us think so. Some of us even think that depression is about a brain chemical, and it's about our brains and having a depletion in serotonin. But everything I've experienced and everything I've read, depression isn't about a chemical imbalance, though we've been sold that bill of goods through the pharmaceutical, big pharma. Depression is not our identity. I often hear people say, and I've said it myself, I am depressed. Well, it's better to say I do depression. So where does depression exist? I'm not even going to say in our brains. I'm not going to even say in our minds. I'm going to say in our thoughts. And our thoughts are all made up. So there's a wonderful passage, a wonderful spiritual principle throughout the New Testament that says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And then this passage in 2 Corinthians 10:5, take captive every thought. So why is it that I'm often so miserable, so depressed, so unhappy? Why do I suffer so? Because of my thoughts. And I'm sure it's true for you as well, but we forget this and we live in an unawareness that our thoughts are so important. So some of us have deep neural pathways that are pretty negative in our brains. But what we're finding with neuroscience is we have brain plasticity, that we can make new neural pathways of happiness and positivity. But it's being aware of all these thoughts that we have, some 60,000 or more thoughts a day, and most of them are negative. So take captive every thought. I've heard it said this way, there is nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So we like to blame, we like to play the victim, we like to blame our suffering, problems, unhappiness, depression, misery on circumstances outside ourselves and circumstances in the world. Something people did or something people didn't do, something that happened or something that should have happened. And we blame all of our misery on those external events. But nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And in our minds, we can make a heaven of hell or a hell of heaven. So what's the secret to overcoming all the suffering and depression and misery? It's to take captive every thought. You see, events in and of themselves don't make us feel. It's not A, an event, leads to B, the feeling. It's A, B, and C. It's A, the event, B, the belief about the event, that C leads to the feeling. So here's a simple way to try to begin to overcome depression. Separate the event and the meaning that you give it. Separate what happens, the event, something that did happen or should have happened. Separate that event from the meaning that you give to it. And there's 3 ways that we can do that. And the first is just knowing that and being aware that, wait a minute, this event isn't making me feel or think anything. It's my thoughts about the event that are making me sad or unhappy. So that's one way, just simply being aware. The second way is look for 3 alternative meanings of the event. We automatically, some of us give it that negative meaning. Some of us are really good and exceptional at doing that because the neural pathways of negativity run deep. But look for 3 alternative meanings and see if that lifts your depression a little bit. And then lastly, if you struggle to do that, to be aware, to give different meanings, think about somebody else, what kind of meaning they might give to it, or even have somebody else help you to do that. So, depression seems to exist within us, but it's in our thoughts, and our thoughts are always changing, so we can change our depression by taking captive every thought and being transformed by the renewing of our mind. I know it's easier said than done, but maybe it's easier than we thought possible as we practice and have vigilance, practicing this constantly and being vigilant and finding that our depression lifts when we do so. So, there you go. Take what's helpful and leave the rest. And until next time, may you live all the days of your life.